Welcome to the KickBack FC. Thank you for joining us once again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
Welcome back to the Kickback FC, your go to spot for unfiltered, real talk, all things soccer. Here we've got it all. We'll be breaking down the biggest moments, the hottest takes, and everything that you need to stay plugged into the world's game. Whether this is your first time tuning in with us or you've been rocking with us from the jump again, I just want to say thank you to all of our friends and supporters. Once again, my name is Cornelius. I'm joined by my boys and fellow co-hosts. Today we also have a special guest. Salam, how you feeling today?
I feel good, man. It's starting to get warm here in Ohio, so starting to see the sun a lot more. So all is well. Gabriel, how are you?
Can't complain, man. Same thing. Weather's getting nice finally. Not too much snow. The snow is finally starting to melt, which is pretty nice. Colonel, how you feel?
Yeah, man. Football's in full swing. We just have some Champions Leagues games back. The MLS starts soon. USL starts soon. It's just picking up here in the States. And then obviously, that just rolls into the World Cup. But we have a very special guest today. Salam, I'm going to pass it back to you so you can introduce.
Yes, sir. Today on the Kickback FC, we have a professional referee from the Pro Referee Organization, Rubiel Vazquez. I appreciate your time, brother. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me. It's pretty cool. I followed you guys for a while, so it's pretty cool to kind of have a chat with you guys after seeing some of those. But good. I mean, I am from Miami, so it's been
Okay.
80, 70, so I have no idea what you guys are talking about cold when it comes to this thing. So I can't do it. So I don't know how you guys do it in those places. Every time I get a game and I'm in the Midwest, I'm like, oh my God, during this time of the year. But yeah, no, pretty nice weather. Right now we're in Dallas. We're at our last camp before we start the season this weekend. So it's luckily still good weather here on low 60s in the morning, 70s. So we're excited for the season to start though.
We went through the toughest winter that we've had in a while, but nonetheless, appreciate your time. I really do appreciate you being here. We connected with you guys and Chris at the U.S. Coaches Convention in Philadelphia this past year. It was a great experience.
Right.
Just want to dive right into it, man. Talk to us about your journey. How did you get into the game of football, and what drew you to refereeing?
Yeah, so it started playing when I was young, probably the age of 15, 16 in high school. As a sophomore in high school, got into it through a friend, started playing in high school, started playing in club, really started to like it, got better, my goal was to play college soccer. Was able to get into Florida Memorial University, played there for, I don't know if you guys heard of it, Miami. Well, I actually got in a UCO college in Georgia. I went for like a week, did not like it, came back, had an offer from Florida Memorial, so ended up going there for 3 years. So during this time, right, when I was 16, my coach was like, hey, do you want to make some money on the side? Refereeing games shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm like, oh yeah, that's perfect. I'll do it on the weekends while after our games, blah, blah, blah. So back then, I would do one day, I will make $120 cash. $120 cash back then was you can go to the movies for you can go to the movies for $20 with popcorn and a drink.
Yeah.
You can do. I have two girls, so I'm married with two girls. Right now, for the four of us, for a movie is over $100. So I'm like, what happened? What happened to these days? So it was great, So that's how I started refereeing. That's how I got into it. Just refereeing on the weekends, little kids. During my second year, third year in college, I started to get more looks towards the refereeing world, and people are like, hey, why don't you take this a little bit more serious? I was like, okay, I didn't really know what that meant, right? So I'm like, sure. I started to take it a little bit more serious. After my third year playing in college, I knew I wasn't going to make it pro. I knew it would have been a long shot. Maybe I could have played, UPSL, but I thought about it as it's going to be too much work. I'd rather maybe concentrate on something else. I wanted to stay involved in the sport. I got into coaching as well, coach high school soccer for 5 years. And it just wasn't for me. I wanted to be more involved in the game. So, refereeing gave me that opportunity to keep it going. I started to do more tournaments. Back then, what is now MLX Nets or Adidas Generation, we used to have those back then. So I started going to all those tournaments, got seen by other people. And in 2000 and I believe it was 2015, I did my first professional game, was USL. Back then it was just USL. There was no championship. So actually it was Orlando City. Orlando City was
Okay.
in the USL, so that was my first professional game. That was 2013. In 2015, I got hired in pro as a fourth official. We had a fourth official panel, which means you did fourth official, you might get a shot in the center. And but you mainly did USL. And do you guys remember the NSL league?
Yes.
So referee with that's what we would referee every weekend. NASL games. In 2017, I got my first shot at an MLS game in Columbus, actually Ohio. Luckily, it was during the summer, so it was great weather. Can't complain. Can't complain. But Columbus versus Minnesota, that was my first game. Got 4 games that year, 4 games in 2018, and in 2019, I became a full-time referee. But that was pretty much my journey coming in through the pipeline.
You know, that's amazing. I wanna. What made you really start taking it seriously? Was it? I know you said you weren't going to go pro, and obviously the money was really really nice as well. But I feel like we've spoken to a lot of different just professionals in the football world.
Yeah.
What was kind of that switch for you? Was it a certain match where you're like, wow, I really do enjoy and like this? Besides the money aspect of it, like I really enjoyed this portion of it. What was that kind of that switch for you?
I would say that the opportunity of seeing some of the guys that I looked up to. So, for example, back then we had Baldomero, Jair, which is referee now in our league. So I will watch those games, right, when the referee in MLS, and I'm like, man, that's something that I kind of want to be. So that's where it started. Then, yes, I started doing some games, and it became more competitive games, and it became something that it wasn't just about, okay, I'm doing this for the money or for hanging out on the weekend. No, now I'm enjoying this. So I think it's a combination of seeing games on TV and saying, you know what, I want to be the next guy refereeing those games, and a combination of having that ick of watching those games and then trying to translate it in my youth games and be like, okay, I'm following what he's doing. And I think it was all of that combined that gave me the opportunity and the feeling inside to say, you know what, I want to be a next professional referee in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's amazing. Yeah, as you said, as you continue to ref, you started refing a lot more of those high intensity, just powerful matches to say the least. How do you kind of prepare for these high intense matches and these, what does your preparation look like on kickoff day?
Yeah, so the day of the match, all the referees are together. So we'll usually have breakfast or lunch together over coffee. We kind of go over players and tactics of teams. We don't really go into the simple things of refereeing because we work together so much that we kind of already have that relationship going. So we kind of go more into tactics of the teams, players to look out for, what is their formation, more broad stuff that could help us. Maybe they're big on free kicks. What do they do on those free kicks? Do they stop those attacks quickly? Which are the players that do it? Do they have guys that runs on the flanks? And that's what we want to expect, those runs out of nowhere. So when we're in the game, we're not kind of following behind. We already knew what's going to happen before it happened. So that's pretty much how it looks like in our pre-game style that we do. Now, when you were coming up as a referee, your pre-game style was like, all right, we look at each other, you put your flag this way, and I'll mirror you. Simple stuff like that, where now at this level, now we're talking broader stuff. Those things should be covered from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so interesting because when we met with Chris previously, he let us know that referees have a preseason just as if they're players and
Yeah.
on a team, which I found very very interesting. Kind of just as you prepare, as USL, MLS, all the leagues are now about to be in full swing.
Yeah.
Kind of walk me through what does your preseason look like? Because I'm a fellow player myself. I understand from a player side what
Yeah.
Preseason looks like, but what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so good. So I'll give you maybe a little bit back going to my last game of the playoffs. So finish my last game of playoffs, and they're like, all right, you're done. The season is over. We'll start. This will be, I would say, around December, really early December or late November is usually when our season is over. So honestly, the first thing I do is 2 weeks of nothing. 2 weeks of just relaxing, hanging out with the kids, forgetting about running, nothing to do with running. You know, I'll walk around with the kids, maybe go to the gym, but nothing to do with running. I want to like clear out, make sure I'm reset and that I'm getting the recovery that is needed. You know, think about it. We have basically a whole 9 to 10 months of intense running, training every day, plus games. So I think your body needs that reset when it gets to that level. So I take my first 2 weeks off, reset, nothing, just clear my head of everything. Then after those 2 weeks, then I start coming back slowly. I would say maybe running once or twice a week, nothing intense yet, pretty slow volume, more gym, you know, trying to get more strength into our body, getting ready for preseason. And then so usually our preseason starts the first week of January. So if you think about it, we only have about a month to
Yeah.
get your body therapies, whatever you need during that month. So it's not a long time, but it should give you enough time, just like players, to recover. So starting early January, we start our preseason training. The first week of January, we go to a preseason camp that we do every year, usually in Houston, where we meet all the referees. There we do our medical checks. So we do a full medical, KG, anything that has to do with the vision test this year. So we do a lot of tests throughout that camp. And we also do two days of tactical sessions. The camp is usually for us for 3-4 days, and we do a lot of tactical session as much as we can get in those 4 days. After that weekend happens, we're full on already on preseason. The following week is our fitness test, and that's pretty much where we start our season. The fitness test is our. Do you guys know what our fitness test is or looks like?
I was just actually about to ask you, like, what
Yeah,
fitness test do you do? Is it the
Yeah.
beep test? You know, there are a lot
VO2
of different
max. Like
ones.
I'm
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
familiar with that.
So we have a fitness test. So we do it on the track. We have first we start with 40-meter sprints. We have to do it under 6 seconds, right? So
Okay.
that's the first. So it's not terrible, but you have
Yeah.
to be fit to do it.
Yeah.
Then we go into the track. So you separate the track in 75 meters. So we run in 75 meters in 15 seconds. Then we have 25 meters to walk in 18 seconds. And we repeat this 40 times.
Oh,
Right? 40 times. Yeah. So it's pretty
okay.
long.
That's some
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
Let's start doing the math. 4 laps.
Yeah. 40 times. So we repeat this around the track. So it's 10 laps, 10 laps around the track. And usually like those 75 meters for runners is about 11.2 miles per hour. If you're on a treadmill, that's what it looks like. And then you walk the rest of the 25 meters and repeat it 40 times. Yeah, it's very mental, to be
Intense.
honest. Yeah, it's intense, but mentally, you have to be mentally strong. For me, I've always been in the mentality of once I finish lap 7, so once I'm about to start lap 8, you got to take me out of there in the ambulance. I'm not dropping. That's my mentality. I'm like, I have 2 laps left. I ain't getting out of there just by walking out. So it's very mental. I feel like, but it tests us. You know, it gives us that test to be okay. Are you ready for the year? And it's not just going out and running for 5 miles, because that's not what we do. You know, in our games, it's more of short distance, more of 100-meter sprints, 70-meter sprints, and then how does our heart rate recuperate in the short amount of time? So this is basically what this test is simulating. You know, how fast can you recuperate after that 15 seconds run in that 18-second walk? So it's pretty cool, the science behind it. But yeah, it's a pretty tough test if you don't train for it.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off real quick, Cornelius. I just want to say that's really remarkable.
Yeah.
I think, like, especially too. I mean, a lot of these athletes, they're quick players, so you
Yeah.
have to damn near be as fast as them. So I mean, I think that's remarkable. That's great insight to physically how much you guys have to be prepared. Because I mean, it's not just you got to be prepared for the heat, rain,
Correct.
snow, like all of that. So I think that's interesting. Go ahead, CP.
No, yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off Salam, it is interesting because you often think, the referee's just making the plays, but you have to be with the play in order to make the right call. You kind of answered a lot of the questions that we had about the physical preparation, but what I want to know is how you kind of structure your body to make sure that you don't burn out mid-season, and you're working through the postseason in a lot of these seasons, so you're
Yep.
going from January all the way to October, or even November. So how do you use nutrition, use therapy? Like what recovery methods do you use so you don't burn out midway through the season when it is hot in January in Charlotte, for example?
Yeah, So we have a science department, which composes of our training, and we also have a medical side of it. So we have somebody that is looking out for us in that sense. So whenever we need something therapy, which is huge, I'm a firm believer of kind of getting something done after each game. So in my case, I like to do something once a week. So every week, especially if I have a whistle, I will try to get some recovery done, whether that means going to a place about stretching, whether it's a full-on therapy place, and or whether it's just a massage. So, but I believe in getting one of those things done. When I'm a fourth official, my training kind of changes. I still try to get something done, but more on the stretching side, maybe hit a yoga class or something like that. But if I'm a referee, I'm definitely trying to do something the day after or 2 days after, in sense of a massage, PT training, or a long place where they do stretches. So that's where I go to. Now we do have the options of those ice bath that we do um, right after the games. We might have some opportunities to do it in some of the stadiums where we have the access to it. So that makes it a little bit better for your recovery. What is tough is, our side, our game is Saturday. We fly home on Sunday. So that's where the tolls becomes a lot. So for me is what I do after that game, not just going to the hotel and so I try to do something there after the game, recovery wise. So then when I fly on Sunday, and usually you fly in the morning trying to get back home to the family. So you don't get a lot of rest and sleeping wise. So that time between the end of the game and the next morning, I try to do something so I can recuperate as much as possible, because I know the next day I'm going to be beat up. So that's my key on that one.
Yeah, Cornelius, I mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, this is so interesting. Because I'm looking at it from a player's perspective. Like, when do you feel like properly fit? Because as a player, we have to. There's only so much fitness you can get,
Yep.
in training and just fitness tests, and you have to get that game like training, game like situations to really build up the game fitness. So I'm thinking about for a ref, is it the same? Is it you have to run those matches to actually feel like the game fitness? So like, when do you feel at your peak fitness?
Yeah. No, that's what goes through our heads as well. Now, I think just like the players, we try not to take completely time off. Again, those 2 weeks is something that I do take something off. But I think in our life already has become a lifestyle where it's pretty much a whole year thing. There's not really a time where you can just get to relax on it. There's a whole year thing. But to your point, yes. So for me, preseason is before the fitness test is my time to get ready for that fitness test. So between that month, my whole mentality is getting ready for the fitness test. Now, game fitness, you're 100% right. I think it's totally different. Then the fitness test is a 20-minute test. Yes, it's high intensity, but it's a 20-minute test. In a game, we're running 90 minutes, right? Now we do have 15-minute break in between, but still, you're running 90 minutes. So how do we get that, or when do I feel ready for that? I'm gonna say honest, I'm pretty sure I'm ready before the first game. There's no questions that I am, but mentally, I probably won't think I'm fit ready till 2 or 3 games into the season, even though I'm fine. But I think that's where the mentally aspect where you're like, oh, yeah, I think I'm not. I don't feel mentally ready. I know I am, but I won't feel mentally ready till week 3 where I'm like, yeah, this is. But then it becomes just a repetition. You felt what it felt like, and it becomes. And I think for the players might be something similar, in that sense.
No, that's a great point, because you never really think, when do the refs feel match fit? But that's a very great point. That's a great insight. I kind of want to bring it back to the technical aspect of the game. While you
Yep.
guys are in preseason, obviously there are adjustments in the rules and the laws of the game. Obviously now with VAR and video analysis, that has to be a part of your preseason. So what are you studying, before the start of each season when it comes to specifics in the rules of the game, and how much does that video analysis, do you rely on that a lot while you guys are training in the preseason?
Yeah, so good. So we do for our preseason. in our preseason, we have everybody. So we have the assistant referees, we have the VARs, we have everybody at the preseason camp. The first 2 camps in February, which is the one I am now, and the one we had 2 weeks ago, is just the referees. This one is actually the BMOs are here too. But what we usually do is in that preseason camp is the overall learning. So we go over everything. So new law changes, right? So we are adapting this year the 8-second rule, right? The goalkeeper releasing the ball. So we are adapting that. So we go over that in videos. How are we going to execute it on the field? You know, what personality traits we're going to use. So we go over all of that and other changing rules. Then we go over probably handball, probably offside, and all these situations. So it's very broad of everything we do. Now we come to our camps and we dig a little bit more deeper into penalty area incidents, reckless challenge versus serious foul play. And it's not about the decision or not, if not just everything about how we go into it, what is our attitude towards the game, towards that moment. So we talk about everything that you can think of in one play. Now, one clip, right? Might you think something simple. We spend probably 20-30 minutes going over one clip because there's so many things we talk about. Because for the general public, all you think is like the decision, is it foul or no, right? But in our side now, we're thinking, all right, sure, we go to the decision, but now we got to talk about how we got there. How did the referee get there? Was his positioning correct? Did he miss some point reading the game to the next phase? So we see so much in one clip that it gets you mentally ready for when you're out there on the field. Kind of remember, hey, this is what happened in the clip. We got to go. So again, everything is different. All the games are different, but our overview of clips is not just the decision and we move on. We kind of go and digest the entire clip and things that people don't think about, but in our world is humongous. It's something that you need to have in your game.
No, that's great. Go ahead, Kurt.
Sorry, Salam. Bro, I forgot about the new goalie rule. So I kind of want to ask you about that. So obviously there's a level of nuance. You guys, are you going to be counting 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3? You know what I mean? Like when a new rule like that comes, especially for something that's brand new to the world of football.
Yeah.
How much nuance are you taking with that, and how much letter of the law are you going to be? Because if the goalie gives up a corner, that could be a huge moment in the game.
Huge.
So how do you take a new rule change and kind of like adopt your referee methodology on it?
Yeah. So it's new for us. Some people started it halfway through the season last year, but since our season is the way the calendar year works, we don't start to this season. But some teams have already been playing it in the Champions Cup for CONCACAF, so they already kind of have an idea of how it's working. Now for us in our league and how we're starting, I think it's new, right? So we are going to have those moments where something might happen, but the key, the main thing we talked about is if we're all going to do it one way, we all do it the same. So like that is across all. So if somebody says, "Oh, this guy didn't give it," but we were using the same considerations. So the Mississippi part of it, I think everybody has their own way of doing it. It's honestly the way we show and what we show to the players that is clear when we hit one and it's over. That is clear to the world that hey, that timer, the referee's hand was done when he blew the whistle. So I think that's the biggest key, is showing to the world or making it clear to the world that everybody sees it and we're not counting like with their hand down that nobody sees it. If it's blown, it is completely known to everybody.
That's great insight. I did want to say I thought one of the coolest booths at the U.S. Coaches Convention was your guys's, and I mean it was a great setup. I remember we tried to go in the first day on the Thursday night, but you guys had so many people around you and wanted to see it. And for those of you guys that weren't at the Coaches Convention, so you guys essentially had a VAR simulation, and you had one person on your guys' team sitting on one chair to kind of help out, and that person was in charge of providing the different angles, whatever angles that you wanted. Mike, who isn't here right now, he was the one that sat in the chair.
He was the VAR.
He was the VAR, and it was interesting because we had this conversation there, and then offline when we left, we see the game as we see it, and we see it on TV. And I think you alluded to it earlier, like, what's taking so long? This is an easy whatever handball.
Right.
This is an offsides call. But there's so much that goes into it because it's like you said. I mean, the integrity of the game.
Of course.
And then obviously too, like you have to be as accurate as possible. And I remember, I mean, we were watching one game from the MLS, and Mike, I think it was a situation where someone was denying a goal scoring opportunity, and one of the guys asked him, I don't think it was Chris, it was someone else. One of the guys asked him, so like, what are the few main points that lead you to denying a goal scoring opportunity? And as a fan, I thought, like, well, he's the last man. Like, that's
that's it. There's nothing else.
That's it. And he broke it down. Yeah, he broke it. Could you break down, like, just for people who don't know, like, what things do you look for, like, when you're in a situation where someone may be denying a goal scoring?
Yeah, so there's four elements for the denying of a goal scoring opportunity, right? So that is the direction in which he's going, right?
Mhm.
The opportunity to play the ball. Okay, so the opportunity of him to play the ball, the number of defenders that are in around, so, and the distance. Now, you can put some of them kind of go together. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. So if you put a play 40 yards away from the field, and there is an attacker, there's a defender here and a defender here, and there's a foul committed here, right? Because the distance is so far, there is a possibility that this defender could get to the ball. So now the clear part of it is not there. So now you put this play 30 yards closer in the exact same position. Now this foul is committed. Because it's so close, the next shot will be a shot on goal. This defender has no impact on it. So things like that. But think about it. All of this is we're doing it while everybody on TV just see this is the last man. We are thinking we have to go through all these things because it's not as clear as it seems sometimes. So, and think about, you said Mike was on the chair, right?
Yep.
So think about the pressure you're under there to be like, I have to make a decision fast, because obviously the longer it waits, the less credibility there is. So you have to make a decision in a timely manner that is correct, and with thousands of people basically on your shoulders for making the decision. So it's a little bit more nerve-wracking, especially from people just outside thinking about it. And then when they sit down in that moment, they're like, "Ooh." Now it becomes a little bit harder. So it's cool to see people and trying it and noticing, like, hey, this is not as easy as it looks on TV, even though it might be.
Yeah, I mean, Michael sweating. It was tough. It was a tough position to be in. And honestly, I went from just kind of recording for a second to put my phone down and was sitting there observing. I was like, wow, there's a lot more that goes into this. That's why you guys are where, at the level that you guys are. I did have a question about trends in the modern game. So obviously, we've seen different trends in the modern game. One of them being like pressing, for example. Like a lot of teams now are pressing heavily. Does that force you guys to prepare differently? Like, how do you guys maneuver through like these different trends?
So funny enough, we just had one of our classes was on team tactics, and one of the things we're seeing is pressing. So now how do we adjust to it is that we go. So one clip, right? We talk about one clip where it might seem simple, but now we have to look at everything that we do, each player. So it's not just looking at, oh, here comes the pressing. It's looking at everything that happens before the pressing. How do the teams, which teams, how do they press? Some teams just lay back. They let the defense play it on the back, and one cue, and they all go, right? So how do we read this versus just one runs, the other one runs? So we have to prepare how each team does their pressing, how each team reads this. And we have to make sure we're ready for it, because again, one pressing becomes an opportunity where there could be a foul, and it leads to a denial of a scoring opportunity. It leads to a penalty. And we have to be ready for that, because if we're 1 second behind, we will miss it. So we have to be basically 3 steps ahead of what they're doing in the back. So it's things like that. We just finished a class on that not too long ago. So that's funny that you mentioned. But yeah, we have to adjust to the game. How is adjusting? How now the 8-second rule. Before, you would just run away from the keeper and let him kick it. Now we have to make sure we're turning around, showing him that that we're counting. So it's things that are evolving, and we have to evolve with them. If we stay behind, you will lose control of the game in 2 seconds.
No, that's really interesting. I think one of the most interesting things that I heard you just talk about now was like the tactical side of the game and how you guys focus on tactics, which as a casual, I wouldn't consider myself or Gabriel or Cornelius casual fans. I never thought in a million years you guys were going over tactics.
No, seriously.
Never ever did I ever think you guys were going over tactics. So, we talked about pressing, and you talked about like players that are on teams habits. Can you share any other like things that you guys are looking out for, like in terms of like how we just talked about pressing? Like,
so yeah, of course. So a big thing that we're looking at now in the modern game is a free kicks and tactics on free kicks, right? The holding inside the penalty area when there's a ball, maybe the picks. So at one point we were big on, remember on a free kick, they will put a guy in an offside position.
Yeah.
Right? They will put an offside in an offside position, and the guy would just be there and he will impede somebody. So now we have to change, because we didn't see that before. Now we have to change of how do we deal with that? How do we deal with that? We will tell the player, hey, you're in an offside position. If you touch somebody, something could happen. So now we evolve to manage that situation. So I think that's the way now we're evolving to manage the 8-second rule, to manage those holding inside the penalty area. So how do we do it? I think the key is, and what we always talk about, is doing in a complete manner of, if we're all going to do it, we all have to do it the same. So if we're going to call a penalty for this, we all have to do it. Can't just be one, because then it's inconsistent. Oh, last week somebody didn't do it. So I think that's the key on that. If we're all going to do it, we do it together, and we evolve by learning these tactics. But it comes out of nowhere, At one point, remember when the wall, it was just a wall, and then we had started to see players laying on the ground. So we had to deal with that then. So it's just, we definitely, as much as the teams are progressing and doing new things, we have to adjust to them.
Yeah, I think you can thank Arsenal for all the the free kick tactics and such. I'm an Arsenal fan, so well aware.
Don't give Arsenal a corner kick because you held the ball for.
I feel like they score every Tuesday. They score their free kick. They score a lot on free kicks. So, but then that's something that they're looking for. They want those opportunities. So now we have to know that, right? We have to know that Arsenal is a team that scores a lot on free kicks. So on a free kick, so just thinking about how we think, right? On a free kick, Arsenal is a team that might not take a quick free kick. They will want a ceremonial. So they want to hold that ball and say, all right, we'll wait for you. Versus maybe another team wants to put it down and play quick. So we have to adjust to that. Do we wait and let them play quick, or do we go? Because if you go now, you're getting out of position if they play it quick. So we have to know which teams tend to play quick, which ones like to play the free kick. So if I'm a referee, in the terms of Arsenal, I know that I'm comfortable going towards the spot of the foul because they won the free kick. Versus another team, I hesitate on going because I know they want to play it quick and I want to be ready for the next step.
Guys, you guys got anything before we close out?
No, this was so insightful. You watch film. I think that is so crazy.
A lot.
Man. This honestly, we sit at home on our couches and we think we can do your job, but this honestly gave, I have a lot more respect for what you guys go through, just knowing the whole preseason, what you guys are learning, how you incorporate the different rules. This was fun. This was a fun sit down.
Appreciate it. Yeah, likewise. It was good to have you guys. It was cool to be here.
No, we appreciate your time. Like I said, we learned a lot from these 30 minutes, and we're going to need to conduct a KickBack FC fitness test. See how we do.
Please make sure we videotape this. I want to see this. How you guys
yeah. No, we definitely will. But Rubiel, thank you again for your time. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to watching you over the course of this season. So
appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. And hopefully I'll see you guys maybe in one of the, what are you guys closer to, Columbus or Cincinnati?
So I live in Cincinnati and Mike lives in Columbus. So, but
okay, maybe I'll see you guys in one of those games out there. Let me know and we'll get some coffee.
Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. Yep.
You're welcome.
Take care.